Hey, how are all my people doing out there, including my new subscribers? Thank you for subscribing. I found out yesterday that LD's in the hospital. Something about his TIPS procedure. I don't know how long he's going to be there. And today's his birthday, so I'd like to wish you a happy birthday, LD. It sucks to be in the hospital, especially during your birthday. We're all pulling for you, praying for you. This is just my video, condensed from our talks. Hope you enjoy it. Get well soon, buddy.
L to the D. What's happening? Good to
Same.
see you. First time, what is it? First time call? None of that. First time being on.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to have you on. We had a nice long conversation yesterday,
We
and
sure did.
I really appreciate you coming on here today. Know we're gonna have an awesome conversation here. So,
Absolutely.
you said that you had some stuff that you wanted to start off with today, but one of the things I wanted to ask you about, first thing today is the devil.
Oh yeah, he's been following me around. Yeah, that alcohol, that devil. I don't know if you see my shorts, my those little skits or whatever, but that's basically he symbolizes alcohol. I mean, we're facing all of our own demons, whether it's overeating, whether it's alcohol, whether it's substance abuse, opiates. I mean, it could be anything really.
Yeah,
Just whatever you're battling. Actually, life's pretty good right now.
awesome, man. So
Yeah.
he's gotten off of your tail for a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's taking a break. I think I just scared him off. Backcountry's book scared him off, I think.
Did you have any? Was there like an event that happened that like was really made you go, okay, there's something going on here. He's really on to me right now. Was there something that occurred?
Well, no, it was just an idea that I had about just kind of bringing a little bit more humor into my content. And to specifically speaking, probably the last time he did have his pitchfork in him was at the last detox that I did, which was back in, I want to say June.
Okay.
I was there. I had a couple of weeks of sobriety and then fell off. Was
So,
there for 7 days.
what's your, how long you got now since your last relapse?
Today's the 15th, so on the 23rd, I'll have 4 months.
Congratulations, man. That is awesome, man.
It's the longest I've had since, I came out of that relationship and lost 9 months. Yeah,
Ho-
so it's an accomplishment for sure.
So how long were you off the wagon for that last time? Was it for just a couple days or?
It was enough. It was like I said with the kindling that I had. I'm in trouble after 4 days, man.
Yeah.
Just I'd say by 5 days I came and I'm shaking.
Yeah.
And at that point I'm like I said, I mentioned the Valium. Even if I were to take it, I couldn't get the alcohol withdrawal staved off
Gotcha.
because I've become what's called refractory. I
Okay.
guess it has something to do with the tolerance, but yeah, and then I end up having to go somewhere. Sometimes they use phenobarbital, sometimes they use Librium, but it just, that time when I was suffering toxicity, I blacked out and woke up in the ambulance and then had to go to the hospital. I because of that residual Valium being in my system, because of the half-life, the alcohol on top of it just pushed me over the edge. I don't remember a lot of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, those times when that happens, we often don't have a lot of memory from them. If you had to say like one thing that you took away, like that you learned from this last experience, what would you say that is?
I can break that down into two.
Okay.
I'm tired of having to go to detox. I'm
Yeah.
tired of sitting somewhere, not sleeping in my own bed, being surrounded by a bunch of strangers. Sometimes they're often cool, other times they've got serious social deficiencies and deficits. A lot of times there are people in prison that have been in prison that come in, and they're like, oh, they I guess it's just the institutionalization part of it sort of makes them start acting out. They start walking around with their shirts off, like out in the walking area.
Could
But
you?
yeah, please check out my channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, everybody, go check Shays channel out. Could you? Because we were discussing this, you were just talking about Paul's, or was it not Paul's?
Post-acute withdrawal.
Not post-acute withdrawal. The other, the kindling. Could you let people know what kindling is for those that don't know what it is?
Okay, I've got a video explaining it that you might want to check out. Let me see. Well, kindling is a phenomenon that occurs. It involves like your GABA and dopamine system. You got your GABA aminobutyric acid, the calming neurotransmitter in your body. It's a neuron, and
that's what
you have your
alcohol actually. That's what alcohol works on, is your GABA receptors.
Right. It causes your GABA to activate, and it's released. And what leads to alcohol withdrawal is you get a downregulation of GABA because your body gets lazy and doesn't want to produce any more GABA.
Yeah.
So when the alcohol is withdrawn, then you get a flush of like cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, glutamate. All that stuff just ramps up your metabolism. Everything just goes haywire. Blood pressure goes up, sweating occurs, fast tachycardia, fast heart rate. But the kindling is repeated withdrawals. Over time, the phenomenon, it's not explainable really. I'm not quite sure if it's actually science nailed down why it does what it does, but it does. Every withdrawal shortens the amount of time for another future withdrawal to occur, and it also intensifies the future withdrawals symptoms. You follow me?
Yep.
So like I used to be able to drink, let's say a month, stop, no withdrawal, nothing like that. Well, I've done that so many times, and that explains like why somebody that's quit drinking heavily for years, and I had an AA sponsor that did that. He drank vodka like nonstop, like even at work, and he said he had no withdrawal when he quit, and that's because he didn't have kindling. That was the only withdrawal that he had. So it's like a 50-50 chance if you don't have kindling. Now me, like I said, I can only drink for maybe 4 days, 5 days, and I'm in the shit. I'm in the hole. So shaking and all that, no appetite, and just repeated withdrawals. It's never good to withdraw without medication, a doctor prescribed medication, usually benzodiazepines.
Yeah.
But the more times that happens, like even medicated, the kindling occurs where the neurons get primed, so to speak, or like kindling for a fire. That's where, that's the spark that sets it off.
Gotcha.
The spark that sets you off, and it sensitizes the neurons to make those future withdrawals more intense, and it lessens the amount of time before you go, days before you go into withdrawal.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got off the last time, we were kind of talking about, how you had ended up with some DWIs or DUIs, and you had spoken about, how your drinking had kind of ramped up at, the age like around 34 or something like that. Um, could you just kind of give us a little bit of a little bit more in the history of, you know, what happened with you with your drinking and, what made you finally quit and all that good stuff?
Well, the worst thing, and you'll wonder why in the world I didn't quit after this. Well, I was hospitalized. I was at a treatment center, and about 12 hours into the withdrawal, I went into the terrible alcoholic hallucinosis. And then I didn't have the tactile hallucinations, but I did have auditory hallucinations. I had visual hallucinations. I was extremely paranoid. The facility that I was at had a practice of dropping these panels. Like if somebody had a seizure, uh, for privacy, these panels would come down, and if they would have to send the EMTs in, they would go get the person and then take them out. I don't know how they did it on the second floor, but these panels would drop down. Well, I started feeling like I had done something, getting extremely paranoid, extremely paranoid. I thought that I was hearing my old roommate's voice talking to me. I was hearing my parents' voices talking to me. One of my best friends in Wilmington talking to me. I thought a news crew and a SWAT team was outside the facility waiting for me. I was scared I was going to make the news. And I mean, I'm a journalist. I'm not practicing right now. But I didn't want to make the news. I was thinking about my news job. What are they going to do? I'm a journalist. I'm going to end up the news. What? But I thought I had done something in the hospital, and my perception of people is that they were all in a simulation. That they had been said, all right, we're gonna, because they had done some kind of simulation there. I heard about an actual situation where they were going to do an active shooter, and they asked these patients to participate. Now, who does that at a treatment facility when you have people in withdrawal and a
What?
detox? They said, well, the SWAT team's going to come. Somehow that like got in my head, so I'm thinking all about that. So my roommate had a problem with his blood pressure. This black guy, I think it was either that or diabetes. He had a medical emergency. I had gone before this hallucinosis like started, and came back in the room and noticed he was gone. And I asked someone, where'd he go? And it's like, well, the paramedics took him to the hospital. There was some medical emergency. And he had sleep apnea, so he had a CPAP machine. And I wanted out. I didn't want to live. I wanted out of this situation. So I ripped the hose out of the CPAP machine, wrapped it around a certain area of my body, and pulled on it.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was a self harm, lame attempt. Didn't want to. I didn't want. I didn't want. I didn't want. I didn't want to die. I just didn't. So I let go, and I don't know if I made a mistake or whatever, but I told one of the counselors. Next thing I know, the police show up, ambulance shows up, and they take me to the hospital, and I'm put on the psych floor, and I'm visited by the psychiatrist. And I said, well, am I going to go back to the treatment center? They said, no, you've been involuntarily committed. And I said, oh, God. And I said, well, where are you taking me? And they said, Holly Hill. And it's got a reputation as being called Holly Hell. I mean, it's that bad. You know, the screaming, you can't leave. It's like you're a ward of the state at that point. You are at the mercy of the state. So I'm in this mental hospital, and I'm actually still detoxing. So they were giving me lorazepam, which is Ativan. Finished the detox, met another guy in there, kind of clicked up with him a little bit. We talked. He was telling me, man, you got to do this, you got to do that if you want to get out of here. It was like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. I mean, if he wasn't insane, before he landed in that mental hospital, they drove him crazy. So he says, whatever you do, be on your best behavior, act the sanest as you can in the sea of people that are wandering around talking to themselves, and schizophrenic, psychotics, people, unstable, just mental problems. And he had tried to harm himself in the same way. He had gotten up in the loft of a barn and dropped off, and the rope snapped.
Wow.
So he said he was fortunate and lucky, and I don't know. But anyway, I only saw the doctor like one time per day for 5 minutes, and he only asked 2 questions, and you can probably figure out what those are.
Yeah.
And it was no every time. So they let me out of there after about 7 days, and I thought, that is it. I am not drinking ever again. I never want this to happen. I never want to be in a situation I can't control, where it's like a prison situation where you're owned by the state.
Yeah.
No. What did I do? Do you think it made me stop?
No.
Hell no, it didn't. And it took a couple more years. A couple more white chips, a couple more trips to detox.
Yeah.
And this final thing, I'm working on, 4 months, and I'm not stopping.
I know you won't go back. I know you won't.
No. I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
You talk about your TIPS procedure.
Mm-hmm.
How painful is that?
It was pretty painful. The one thing about when the first time I had my TIPS done, they didn't just do just a TIPS procedure. It's all interventional radiology, so they go in through your jugular, they go in through your liver, they go in through your belly button, they go in through your groin. And
these are like needles with tubes.
Yeah, they have it's like a wire.
Catheter?
Yeah, it's like a wire that they go in through with. But they go in through two places in your neck, and then one place in your groin, one place in your belly button, and one place in your liver. So there was a bunch of holes in there. But my point is, they went in and they had to cut the circulation off to my spleen the first time that I was in there, because my spleen had enlarged like super big. Like, I could lay in the bed and push down and feel my spleen inside my stomach. It had gotten so large because I had a blood clot in my splenic vein. So they had to cut the blood supply off that. So when they cut the blood supply off the spleen, my spleen died inside of me, basically. That was very, 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 very painful. I remember waking up and screaming bloody murder because I was hurting so bad.
The law it didn't really help you?
No, as a matter of fact, I kept telling them I'm hurting so bad, and they kept giving me more and more injections, and the pain medicine wasn't even working. So I asked the nurse to please go get me 2 big bags of ice. So they brought me in these big Ziploc bags, like the big gallon-sized bags, and I put those on my stomach and had to lay them on my stomach, and that's how I got the pain to subside as best possible, was by using ice. The pain medicine didn't even touch it.
Now, did you have ascites at this point?
Yeah, I did. I did have ascites during that period of time. And the first TIPS procedure, of course, didn't work out. They couldn't get through the blood clot. So I went back in June of 2023, about 6 months later, and they did it the second time. And that time they were actually able to get through. And it was that second time wasn't as bad as the first time, but it was still pretty painful. They gave me it was painful enough. They knew it was going to be painful enough where they gave me the thing with the button. And I don't know what.
It might have been fentanyl.
I don't know what it was, but they gave me a little trigger button thing. Told me whenever I needed to push it to just hit the button whenever I was in pain. And I had that in the room for like 2 days. And then finally I told them I didn't need it anymore, and then they got rid of it. But yeah, it was pretty painful. I would imagine that having like a liver transplant or something is 1,000 times more painful than what I went through.